When you think about survival, the first thing that comes to mind is usually food or shelter. But ask any seasoned outdoorsman, and they'll tell you that water is the real limiter. Without it, your time outdoors shrinks from days to mere hours. Yet, long before modern filtration systems and bottled water, early frontiersmen faced the same challenge. Rivers dried up, streams ran muddy, and rain wasn't guaranteed. They developed a clever, low-tech method to secure drinkable water when conventional sources were gone, a trick that is often overlooked in survival guides today. This method isn't theoretical. It's been tested under harsh conditions for centuries. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the technique, but also know exactly how to apply it in modern wilderness, urban or emergency scenarios. You know, frontiersmen relied on the principle of condensation to create water from, well, seemingly nothing. The trick starts with a simple observation. Water is everywhere in the environment, but not always in a form we can drink. Even dry soil, green plants or morning dew contains moisture, believe it or not. Frontier travellers learned to harness the sun's heat and natural condensation to collect this water efficiently. They didn't need pumps, chemicals or batteries. By digging a shallow pit, placing a container at the bottom, covering it with a sheet of clear material and weighting it carefully in the centre, they could create a mini solar still. Moisture from the soil or plants evaporates under the sun, condenses on the underside of the sheet and, well, then it drips into the container. In practical terms, this means you can generate potable water even in arid conditions, using only natural energy and a few simple items you can carry in a pack. Knowing where and what to use makes the system effective. Frontiersmen didn't just dig anywhere. They sought out shaded areas with loose soil or places near vegetation that held onto a bit of moisture. Sometimes they'd even toss a few green leaves inside the pit, you know, just to boost evaporation and, well, get a little more water out of it. Even in modern practice, these little details still matter. Picking a spot that gets the morning sun, with soil that's just a bit damp, and if possible some plant matter nearby, well, that can really bump up your water output. You can take it a step further by covering the pit with a flexible, transparent sheet, something like a small tarp or even clear plastic wrap. Just weigh down the centre with a small stone, and that'll create the slope you need for condensation to drip right into your container. The principle is simple, but, you know, quite effective. Understanding the environment multiplies your results. Frontiersmen often combined this trick with other methods to, well, maximize supply. This technique wasn't used in isolation. They collected morning dew from leaves, scraped water from plant stems, and even soaked the roots of certain edible plants. The solar still became, you know, a reliable backup when rivers were dry or when snow and rain just weren't available. For modern outdoor enthusiasts, the big lesson here is really about redundancy. Even if you're carrying a filter, learning to harness condensation means you've got a backup that doesn't rely on equipment, batteries or fuel. so you're never left without options. In emergency situations, it could honestly be the difference between staying hydrated and, well, facing dehydration. So, let's talk about how you can actually use this old frontier trick in today's world. First, you'll want to select your site carefully. Next, look for slightly damp soil, or maybe those low-lying areas where moisture tends to collect. That's usually your best bet. Now, dig a hole about 2 feet wide and make sure it's deep enough to place a container right at the bottom. Simple as that, really. Right, now add some fresh green plant matter, or if you can find it, a bit of morning dew as well. This will help boost the amount of water you can collect. Next, place your container right in the centre of the pit and then cover the whole thing with a clear sheet of plastic or a tarp. Make sure the centre is weighted down with a small stone so any condensed water will drip straight into your container. That's important, you know. Now, just leave the system out in the sunlight for several hours. Nature will do the rest, and you'll start collecting drinkable water before you know it. You know, you can repeat this process multiple times a day if needed, and that'll increase your water yield. Even in urban environments, you can adapt this principle. Just a small container on a windowsill under a plastic cover can, well, condense enough water from humidity for emergency drinking. Understanding the limitations and maximizing safety, that's what ensures this technique works. Frontiersmen knew that not all water collected in this way is perfectly clean. They would often boil it or filter it through cloth to remove debris before drinking. Today, you can use the same precaution. Cloth, coffee filters or portable microfilters improve safety without compromising the simplicity of the method. Even in places where the soil is bone dry, this technique actually works a bit better if you combine it with green vegetation. Plants, you see, release water vapour when they're heated up. Picking up these little adjustments, well, that's what turns a clever idea into a real, practical survival solution. The real takeaway from this frontier approach, honestly, is that survival often depends more on your powers of observation and your creativity than on any bit of technology. Frontiersmen survived because they understood the environment, experimented with natural processes and, well, remained adaptable. Modern survival gear is convenient, but it can fail, and knowing low-tech solutions like the solar still gives you independence. It teaches you to observe, adapt, and improvise using what's at hand. By practicing this method before you truly need it, you build skills that could save your life in both wilderness and urban emergency scenarios. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to Backyard Wisdom and share it with a friend who loves history, survival skills, or practical outdoor knowledge. Learning how frontiersmen secured water isn't just a lesson in history. It's a timeless strategy for anyone serious about preparedness and self-reliance.